Okay, this is the second video to the Kali Linux series that I'm gonna do. So let's begin by booting up into Kali Linux. So best way to do that is to use the live version, and we're gonna use the live forensic mode. So basically, this would be the safest way to be able to use it. That way, you're pretty much untraceable for anything that you're doing. Even if the well, never mind, I'm not going to go into details, but basically you don't have to worry about it if you're using it like this. And the best way to do it is to use a USB, but right now we're going to be using VirtualBox, which is also pretty good to use, but the best way to do it is through flash drive. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to cover, as I had mentioned previously, I was going to cover 10 of the best tools that are available on Kali Linux. So first one I'm going to talk about is called Nmap. There's another one called ZenMap, and that's the graphical one, which if you prefer graphical, you can also use that and be able to follow along, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with the terminal, which of course is Nmap. So if you type Nmap by itself, as you see, it'll give you all these different commands that are available with it. It tells you how to use them, so, or basically a description of them. So the first one, and that's the easiest one to start off with, it would be something like, well, first thing let's do is you want to get a IP address. So with the dig command, you can very simply be able to get any IP that you want. So just type in the name of the website, and there we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this one right here, and so the first one, and this would be the fastest way to do something like that, to do a scan for any open ports, is the -F, capital F, and as you see, it's not gonna take too long. Within a couple seconds you have the open ports. So that's really the best way to do it if you're just trying to get, quick information. You can get a range of different IPs. So for example, if you want to check from 78 to 200, you could do it like that. Of course, this will take a little bit longer, but you can do that. If you want to also be able to see what's going on and want to use the what's called the verbose mode, just use the -V, and you'll see everything that's going on. So there we go. So you got all that information, and of course you could always go ahead and send that over to another file. So we're gonna call it google.txt, but it can be anything really. And of course now you won't be able to see it because it saved it under the txt file. So now if we open up the file manager, and if you see here under google.txt, if you open it, you'll have all that information in there. So let me open it with LeafPad, it's so we can see it better. So as you see, it'll store all that in there. Okay, another thing you can do is, like, for example, if you want to scan many different IPs, but you don't want to have to type them in every single time on the terminal, what you could do is you can save them to a text editor. For example, we're gonna do a dig of google.com, and then just random websites, but if you have something specific. So okay, so you're getting all this information in here, and what you can do is just basically go ahead and grab all the IPs like I'm gonna do right here, and just save them to a text editor. So I'm gonna go ahead and create one, and just create a document in here a file real quick, and I'm gonna call them IPs, and in here just paste the IPs that you want to be scanned, and this will be This will save you a lot of time later on when you have all the information that you need and you want to go ahead and start scanning everything, but you don't want to have to type it in every single time. So better way to be more accurate and at the same time to save time. So alright, let's go ahead and throw that in there. So now go ahead and save it, and most important thing is we got to be able to remember where the name of it. So now if we do let me go back in here, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and grab the well, it was called ips.txt. So let's do maybe IPs. Okay, so it's done after taking a long time. Of course, we ran 3 different IPs and it basically did a full scan of all 3 IPs. So of course it took a while, but you know, just be aware of that. It's gonna take a while, but as you see, it showing all the ports available, so we can have a better idea. So the way to understand this, for example, the first one, which was let me open up the IPs here. I believe the first one that I got was Google's IP. So if you see here, this is the very first one. So it's showing you the ports that are open for that one, and then the second one, which is this one right here, I think it was Curves. As you see, it's showing a ton of different open ports. And then the last one, which was Target, it really only showed the same ones that are usually open. So okay, so moving on, that's how you would let's go ahead and move on. So the next one would be Nmap, or let me go back in here. So we're gonna do Nmap, and then instead of, we're gonna do a -p, then we're gonna do 80. So the reason why we're doing this is to check if port 80 is open, or the status of it basically. And as you see, that's the only thing that it printed out. So this is to target a single port. If you want multiple ports, it's pretty simple. You do 80, and then you would do a space, or actually you could do it like this, which is better. You can do it by range. So port -p for the port, and then 22 through 80, and then you just press enter, and then it's gonna start from 22 and it's gonna finish at 80. So you can scan the ports like that. You can also scan the ports through the host name instead of the IP. So if you do something like google.com, so as you see here, it's showed it showed that only 80 is opened. So you can do it both ways. You could also, instead of directly putting the port number, say for example you can't remember the port number, you can just type in the service. So let's say SSH, which I think is port 22, but if you can't remember the exact port number, you can just type in SSH, and there you go. So as you see, it gives you that information. If you want to get the operating system that your target website is using, or the server, that's also pretty simple. You can just do an nmap-o, capital O, and then just do Google, for example, .com, and that's gonna get the operating system that it's being used. But there's a better way to do that, and I'm gonna show you as soon as this is done. So as you see here, it gives you some information. It also gives you the ports and all that, you know, even though you didn't ask for it, it still gives you. It gives you the reverse DNS record and other stuff in here, and but it also gives you, it says here running, it's running on Oracle VirtualBox, so that's pretty cool. Gives you the details and whatever other stuff is in there. But there's another way you can run that command. Instead of doing it with a -O, you can do dash V, and then dash capital A, and then that's it. Now this is gonna be more accurate, plus you're seeing everything that's going on. Okay, so now you can see the difference. You see we got so much. We got the trace route information, we got the OS information, we got what's called the NSE script, and all this. I don't even know. That's just next here is fingerprint. I'm not really sure, but you get all that too. So you got way more with that command. So that was nmap dash v and then dash capital A and then host name or IP, whatever you want. Okay, so the last command that we're going to cover is going to be the dash s capital L, and then for this one you will need the IP, and you can just put the dash 24, and this is to get the DNS queries for the IPs. So just type that in, and this might take a little bit of time. One thing before I finish this up, before I wrap it up, but as you see, okay, it gave me all this information. So some of these commands with nmap can take a long time, so just don't be discouraged. It could take anywhere from 5 to God knows maybe 15-20 minutes, so just be aware of that while you're using it. When I first used it, I thought that you know, it wasn't working or it was stuck, so I kept, you know, canceling it. But I after a while, yeah, I just figured out okay, I'll just wait it out and see what happens, and eventually I noticed that it did something. So just be aware of that. Some of these commands with nmap, you know, especially if it's doing a full scan, it could take a very long time depending on what you're doing, so that's very important. Alright, so that's it for this one. It's nmap. That was number 10. So next one I want to cover is going to be netcat, and of course that's going to be the number 9. So that's it for now. Bye.
Well, that depends on where you want to get to.
Oh, it really doesn't matter. As long as I can...
Then it really doesn't matter which way you go.